All right, I'm Russ Curtis at Western Carolina University Counseling Program, and I am talking about a topic, and again, the title's not fantastic, it's know-it-alls. How do we work with clients that just seem to know everything? It can intimidate us as counselors, they can talk over us, not take any advice, which is a part of our problem. We need to make sure we're not giving advice. Now, I thought about using maybe a little more sophisticated title like erudite, counseling erudites, but I didn't think as many people would understand that or grab onto it. We all know what a know-it-all is. We all experience it. Maybe we are one. But I think there's things that we can do to help working with folks that are know-it-alls in the counseling profession. So I want to give some of these, some advice that I have found helpful. First of all, doing a good role induction at the beginning of counseling, which is a part of your informed consent, and make them aware of what counseling is and what it is not, and also find out what they want. So I typically will tell people, you know, if we're doing counseling well, you're talking 80% of the time, me 20%. This is your time to kind of process and work stuff out. We'll check in at the end if this is what you wanted, but this isn't me giving you advice or interpreting your dreams or helping you set goals that you don't want to set. Okay, so laying the groundwork with a good role induction helps people start to understand what counseling's about. Now, another thing is, it's not uncommon for folks to ask for advice. Like, all right, well, this is what's going on in my life. A common one that I hear from folks that maybe fit this category is relationships are difficult. Not a lot of friends, maybe not even a partner or a good relationship with a partner. And so one thing I think about with that is that I'm going to be kind of existential therapy, not necessarily the psychology, but with therapy is I may tell them, hey, then I'm going to pay close attention to how I perceive you and our interaction, so you'll get a better feel for how maybe you present to people. And that might be a part of it, is that we can work on our professional relationship. And just really keep that you know, in the here and now. So that's one thing that we'll do. If you find, because sometimes folks will throw stuff out like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to make friends? Watch out with advice giving. And you're going to know that you've made a mistake when you get a bunch of yes buts. Okay, you'll say, hey, we've thought about joining a group. There's groups in whatever city you're in. And you're going to get yes, but I've tried that, but it didn't work, and yes, but. When you get yes buts, you need to stop. You need to realize this person's not ready for that. And I would stop and say, hey, I want to make sure I'm meeting your needs. And it sounds like offering some advice isn't working. And how could I possibly know what you want? You know, if I offer advice, it's probably more coming from what I would do. So let's make sure that this is working for you. Okay. It may be helpful with somebody with know-it-all to, this maybe sounds a little counterintuitive, to tell them briefly what theories you might be using at a time. So for instance, if somebody is, like we just mentioned existential, I might say, hey, listen, there's a theory that's existential therapy where we really pay attention to our relationship with the idea that once you get really good at assertiveness, not passive or aggressive, you'll be able to take those skills to the outside and be able to make friends or have better relationships that way. So I may drop kind of theory names. Sometimes folks, like if you're working with a MD, a medical doctor, or an attorney, or you know, an IT person, sometimes they can be a little skeptical of counseling. And you know, a lot of times in these professions, they're telling people what to do. And the process of working through something together is not what they're used to. So I like to kind of be able to describe, like, hey, this is a theory. Sometimes I have brought this up to somebody, particularly if it's, you know, this happens a lot of times with the people I'm talking about, really well educated and kind of want things fast, is it's like, you know, it sounds like you only kind of value people of real high education or that you hold high in regard. And I'm kind of curious where you learned that. And I'm curious where I fit in with this. Okay, so you're actually gently bringing this, being present with this and confronting them with that. Now, when I ask them the question, hey, where do you think you learned that you can only get advice from people that you hold in high regard? The where you learned, I might tell somebody, hey, that actually comes from Adlerian therapy. Is just a way of kind of identifying where themes and patterns come from, among others as well, other theories. But just being able to share with them what you're doing and why. Another thing I might say with somebody like that when we're talking about this kind of power differential where they're wanting somebody, holding people in high regard is I may say, what's the need beneath this behavior? Which is very reality therapy oriented. We've got kind of those 5 basic needs. We learn from peanut butter French fries. People basically need, power and freedom and fun and belonging, and then survival. And so say, hey, this is a part of a theory. And so this desire not to take advice or not to want to process your emotions, what need is that meeting? Is it power? But helping them see kind of the theories that are being used briefly, don't go into a big lecture, and that they can start understanding kind of the process of counseling. And it's not about telling them something to do.